On a crowded factory floor, one ordinary adjustment turns a spinning reel into a silent pulling trap. A worker steps to the open side of a processing machine, focused on a component near the front housing. Beside them, a drive unit quietly spins, its reel still energized and blending into background noise. As the worker leans in, a loose section of clothing makes brief contact with the spinning reel. The rotating cylinder catches the fabric, drawing it toward the opening as the reel continues turning, revealing how quickly an exposed pull-in zone can tighten its grip on anything that enters its path. Rotating machinery creates an invisible pull-in zone, keep guards secured during operation, and lock out all energy sources before approaching exposed moving parts at any time. In this courtyard, a routine gate closure suddenly turns into a catastrophic collapse as the entire frame gives way without warning. A man walks toward the gate to close it, gripping the outer frame and pulling it across the entrance. As the gate is pulled, the frame shifts out of alignment. One wheel lifts clear of the track while the opposite corner sinks, causing the entire structure to lose its support. In a split second, the gate tips off the rail and collapses sideways, crashing down into the open space inside the yard. Never, ever operate or stand close to a sliding gate without confirmed structural support and functioning retention brackets. Install top and bottom retainers, inspect wheels and tracks, and stay to the safe side when closing large frames. On this dark roadside, things suddenly went wrong when a worker climbed straight into the danger zone. A tanker truck is parked along a dark road, illuminated by harsh overhead floodlights. The scene is calm. No vapor, no noise, no sign of instability. A worker climbs onto the top walkway, moving along the curved surface toward the hatch area. The metal roof is narrow, elevated, and without guardrails, offering limited footing. Everything appears ordinary, just a routine check on a stationary tanker. Then suddenly, an internal pressure surge forces a plume straight out of the hatch. The tanker jolts as the jet erupts upward, sending a dense cloud rising over the top surface and spreading across the air above the trailer. Never, ever access the top of a tanker before verifying internal pressure status. One hidden surge can erupt through the hatch with enough force to displace equipment and overwhelm surrounding space. Confirm pressure isolation, lockout transfer systems, and approach tanker tops only when fully depressurized and controlled. In this container yard, one worker's normal walk turns dangerous the moment a forklift rolls into the same path. A worker can be seen walking across the open yard. Rows of stacked shipping containers line both sides, creating a tight, industrial maze. The ground is damp and stained from previous work. As the worker continues forward, no equipment is visible yet. It looks like a routine crossing. Then an orange forklift enters the frame from the right side, driving toward the same area. The forklift continues rolling forward, its long forks extending into the crossing zone ahead of the machine. As it moves forward, the forks project into the open path, creating a fast-forming hazard area where pedestrian and equipment routes intersect. A moving forklift creates a high-risk zone in front of its forks. Pedestrians must stay out of that zone, and operators must never drive forward unless they clearly see that the path is empty. Mark pedestrian routes, set forklift-only lanes, and make stop, look, and confirm clear, the rule before any truck moves forward. On this renovation wall, one falling cut piece turns a simple ladder job into a sudden stability hazard. A worker stands on a ladder positioned against an old brick wall. Another worker stands nearby on the ground. The man on the ladder is using a torch to detach a metal component fixed to the wall. The ladder is resting on loose debris with no tie-off, no stabilizer, and no one holding the base. The material being cut is directly above the ladder's side rails. As cutting continues, the detached piece finally breaks free. It drops straight down and strikes the ladder's lower section, causing the frame to kick, shift, and fall across the ground. The impact sends vibrations through the entire setup, revealing how a falling offcut can destabilize an unsecured ladder in an instant. Cutting overhead materials creates an immediate drop zone. Never place a ladder or worker directly beneath the fall path of whatever is being detached. Use a lift, secure the piece being removed, stabilize the ladder, and control where the material will fall before the cut is finished. In this backyard, one attempt to boost a fire instantly turns a shop vac into a gasoline-fueled flame launcher. Three men are standing beside a bright orange shop vacuum placed on the edge of a sidewalk. A log sits near the intake hose. One man pours gasoline directly into the vacuum's suction port, while another holds the hose pointed toward the grass. The setup looks improvised: flammable liquid, an electrical motor, and an open ignition source somewhere inside the machine. The men angle the hose toward the ground, preparing to blow the mixture outward, as if trying to ignite or accelerate a fire. The moment the shop vac is switched on, the mixture of fumes and air ignites inside the housing. A blast of fire erupts from the hose, racing across the grass and forming a long streak of flame. The sudden ignition flashes through the pooled gasoline on the ground, sending fast-moving fire fronts spreading outward from the point of ignition. Never, ever introduce gasoline or flammable vapors into any powered equipment. One internal spark can turn the machine into a flamethrower. Keep gasoline away from electrical tools, ignition sources, and blower systems, and handle fuel only with proper containers and distance from heat. On this busy shop floor, one ride on raised forklift forks turns into a runaway hazard the moment balance is lost. A worker stands on the raised forks using them as a platform as the machine continues to move forward. The mast is lifted high enough that a fall would land directly in the forklift's travel path. The operator drives ahead, focused on maneuvering between scattered equipment and debris. No spotters, no fall protection, and no controlled stopping distance are in place. As the forklift rolls forward, the elevated forks shift, causing a lack of stability. The driver steps out to help, and with no brake set and no one at the controls, the forklift drifts ahead on its own momentum, the raised forks and mast creating an expanding high-risk zone along the machine's travel path. A moving forklift creates a deadly forward crush zone. Never use raised forks as a standing platform, and always secure the machine with the brake before leaving the seat. Forks are for loads, not for people. Keep workers off elevated forks. Stop the machine completely before anyone dismounts, and set the brake every single time the operator steps away. In a muddy clearing deep in the forest, a single mistake during equipment loading turns a massive bulldozer into a sliding, uncontrolled threat. A flatbed truck is parked in the clearing with a bulldozer already positioned on its deck. The machine sits muddy from previous work, but it appears stable at first glance. The dozer is not tied down, blocked, or secured. Most importantly, the machine shows no signs of being in a locked, safe, non-movement state. No wheel chocks, no transmission lock, no visible evidence of a parking brake being engaged. With no warning, the bulldozer jolts and begins creeping backward under its own weight. No skidding, no slipping, just unintended machine movement. The dozer rolls toward the edge of the flatbed, gaining momentum as it moves. It then drops off the trailer and lands onto the dirt, the frame settling hard into the ground as the machine's weight meets the surface. A bulldozer can move under its own weight or residual drive pressure if not properly secured. Always apply the parking brake. Place the transmission in lock or neutral hold, and use chocks before stepping anywhere near the machine. Inside this small workshop, one lifted van suddenly rotates off balance, and the entire vehicle swings toward the workers below. In this busy auto shop, a van is elevated on a two-post lift, held by 4 arms positioned under its frame. Tools and parts scatter the floor, and several workers move beneath and around the suspended vehicle. The van appears tilted slightly on the posts, with weight distributed unevenly as one side is being repaired. A worker adjusts something near the lift arm while others stand close, all inside the van's fall path should anything shift. Suddenly, the van's center of gravity shifts. The lift arms lose equal pressure, and the vehicle rolls sideways across the posts. Within seconds, the entire van pivots off its balance point and swings downward, dropping toward the open floor area beneath the lift. The frame settles hard against the arms before coming to rest in the space exposed by the rotation. Never, ever work under a lifted vehicle without solid secondary supports. One shift in weight can rotate the entire load off the lift in an instant. Stabilize the frame, block the wheels, and add redundant supports before anyone works beneath a raised vehicle. Inside this workshop, one attempt to lift a giant glass sheet turns into a sudden collapse the moment balance is lost. At the back of the workshop, two workers stand beside a tall, heavy glass panel stored upright inside a frame. The sheet is large enough to tower over both men, with its weight resting vertically on a narrow bottom edge. As they lift, the tall glass panel tilts forward. The sudden shift causes the sheet to rotate out of its balanced position, swinging away from the frame. The pane drops off its narrow edge support and falls forward into the open floor space, revealing how quickly an unrestrained glass sheet can collapse once its weight shifts. A large glass sheet becomes a crushing hazard the moment it leaves its rack. Use stabilizing devices, proper lifting tools, and a clear retreat zone before attempting to move it. Use suction lifters, secure the sheet, and lift with a team positioned safely outside the fall path before taking a glass panel out of its frame. Don't forget to share what you learned today in the comments. Your insight could save a life. Take care.